Okay, now let's pivot to Georgia, Tennessee.
I'll allow it this time.
You'll allow it this time. Okay, so this was such a fun game. It was a barn burner. There was a point in time where I was like running the math in my head of what this potential score could be, and like it just the over kept. You know, I hope all of you bet the over, like as it continued to increase throughout this entire game, because they were just scoring points on points on points, and I think that it is abundantly clear that Tennessee won the QB sweepstakes, getting rid of Nico. And I know Georgia won 44-41, but Tennessee's for real, guys. Will, what did you think watching this game?
I mean, you could not have asked for a better 60 minutes of, 60 plus of football, really. 998 combined yards of offense, 51 first downs, 675 passing yards total between both quarterbacks. It was incredible. I'll start with Georgia because they won. Gunnar Stockton shut a lot of people up. I think he was threw for 304 yards and 2 scores, also ran for a touchdown, 9.5 yards per pass. He was way more explosive in the air than a lot of people thought he could be. And even more than I thought he would be. I thought he was going to be this sort of really effective, game manager, short passes, run the offense down effectively. He surprised me with how explosive he was. They had 198 on the ground as a team also, but I mean, Colby Young, Zachariah Branch, and London Humphreys are an awesome, awesome trio at receiver. And then for the other side, for Tennessee, passing offense looked really, really good. 371 for Aguilar and 4 touchdowns. Chris Browswell had 177 yards and 3 touchdowns receiving. But for Aguilar, he kind of looked like what I thought he would, where he's going to produce, he's going to hit explosives, and he's also going to throw 2 interceptions. And he's also going to miss some passes, in that second half when Georgia adjusted that you really wish he'd be able to hit. And Tennessee only had an okay rushing attack on the day, so he was a little more pressure on Aguilar. But I do think you're right. Then they won the sweepstakes with Aguilar over Nico. And that's just the thing with Joey, I think. He's going to produce. He's going to have big numbers. But if he throws multiple picks in all these games, you're going to have situations like this where Georgia's able to eke it out. And this was the most Tennessee loss of all time, right? To have your rival who you haven't beaten in 8 years on your home turf, up by 14. You got a 40-yard field goal to win the game. Push you right and lose in overtime. Like, it was a brutal game, but I think you're totally right. Tennessee does look like a playoff team that I did not think they were in the preseason.
Yeah.
And you're getting, with Aguilar, he's producing more than I thought he was. He just needs to make sure that those 2 picks, that's kind of, you can't go any more than that or else games get out of hand.
I mean, as a Florida fan, I'm sitting over here saying I might trade some explosive plays and keep a couple of trade off because currently I'm getting neither. TJ, UCLA fired their head coach yesterday. So, Nico over there not thriving. Is it Heupel? Is it his offense? Does it even matter who's quarterback because he just is able to coach him up?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a part of it, right? I'm not trying to take anything away from Aguilar because he's so much better than any of us expected. But I mean, Nico didn't look like this last year, and so I do think that the quarterback's ability matters. And I think what we all thought was, man, like when these lights come on against UGA, against a Kirby Smart defense, like Aguilar's probably going to struggle. And maybe in the third quarter he did, but outside of that, he was phenomenal. And I mean, Stockton and Aguilar, I know Mateer's up there. I know that Green's up there at Arkansas. I know that other guys, Pavia is always going to be considered. There's other good quarterbacks play. Was that the best 2 quarterbacks in the league playing each other on Saturday in Neyland? I mean, again, I like Mateer a lot, so I'm not, I'm not dropping him, in my rankings, but shoot, they both looked good. And so especially, Stockton got to play against a couple of corners that were banged up and not as experienced. So, they've got a tough test with Alabama coming in 2 weeks, but man, yeah, I'm super impressed with Tennessee. And yeah, I mean, their schedule still got landmines all over it, right? You got to play Alabama on the road. You got to play Vandy. You got to play Oklahoma. They got to go to the Swamp, which even when Florida sucks and Tennessee's good, like they just can't find a way to win in the Swamp. So like,
well in the Swamp.
There's just stuff all over here, but you're looking at their schedule and you're like, man, they should beat Florida, right? Like they should beat Vanderbilt at home. And then you find a way to, shoot, if you were to upset Alabama or beat Oklahoma, which I think they'll be in both those games, I mean, they could be a 10-2 team again that goes to the playoffs. Now, what happens when they get to the playoffs? Who knows? But it was the most Tennessee choke ever. Like it kind of felt like it never felt to me like, oh, they're winning this game, right? Like once Georgia came back and this, to take a lead in the second half to start it, you're like, man, this is going to be a Tennessee choke at the end here. And that's ultimately what it was. That fourth down play by Georgia getting the touchdown was absolutely, if they stop that, they win the game. But I think, you know, you don't want to play. I said this in the intro, but you don't want to play the moral victory game. But if you're Tennessee, you have to feel decently good. Conversely, though, Georgia had a lot of questions coming into this game, playing Austin P and was it Marshall first weeks, and didn't really show anything that inspiring to go into Neyland and to be down by a ton, which I said this on last week's show. Tennessee always starts fast. It's can they sustain? And they started fast again. And you've got an offense that hadn't really shown a lot of signs of life. I mean, Georgia's the favorite to win the SEC at this moment. And I don't know why that would shock anybody because it's still Kirby Smart and it's still the most talented roster in college football. But if Gunnar Stockton can continue to put it together, their toughest two games, well, the Texas game doesn't look that tough, and Bama still hasn't beaten anybody with a pulse, though it's early. They get both those at home. Florida doesn't look like it's going to be a super big challenge in Jacksonville. So Georgia's got a great chance to, go 11-1 again, 10-2 at the very worst. And, they're going to go back to college football playoff after our 2 weeks of doubting Kirby Smart again and being kind of shown like maybe you shouldn't doubt that guy.
Listen, I love Kirby Smart. I don't think that there is a better active in-game coach than Kirby Smart. I think his adjustments are always spot on, and I think he's an absolute psychopath, and I love that about him. He takes no prisoners. He would truck his mom if that's what it took to win, and that's why he is such a perfect fit for this conference. But there's a lot of people in our comments that are talking about the defenses of both of these teams, and that essentially that the numbers are gaudy because the defenses are crap. Do you think that that the defense of both teams needs to improve if they're going to have a legitimate shot down the road?
I mean, both units will get better by default. Georgia's defense is Georgia's defense. What that was you got a Josh Heupel offense fully unloading a dynamic passing game and a good running game for the first time in the season. They were always going to score points in that game. And for Tennessee's defense, TJ mentioned it, they were down both their starting corners, right? So there was a lot of banged up injuries for Tennessee that helped Georgia pass the ball around a little bit more. And then for Georgia, Tennessee in that first quarter, it was all just deep shots, right? Like overall, consistently speaking, Georgia defense played fine. It's just that when Aguilar was able to nuke the ball downfield and Browser went up and knocked the DB over with another great catch, that pumped a lot of the numbers up. So I think both defenses are okay. It's early in the season. The defenses this week are going to look totally different now than they will in November. I think both units are just fine. This game, obviously, was higher scoring than I thought it was going to be, but I do think it went it wasn't that much of a shock to me that this amount of points were scored. I think both defenses are going to be totally fine.
I thought this was maybe the best game of the weekend. TJ, you said it might have been the best game of the year already happening.
Hope to be wrong on that.
Hope to be wrong on that for sure.
But it might have been. It was so good.
So fun. It was particularly fun to not have anything invested in it because I'm sure, Tennessee was just left.
Well, I bet on Georgia, so.
Absolute broken heart at the end of the day. So you had some skin in the game. I did not. I just sat on my couch and fully enjoyed. And Neyland Stadium.
Should have let Georgia kick the extra point.
Say that again?
Should have let Georgia kick the extra point in overtime there. That would have helped a lot of people out.
Yeah. I just knew the money line, thank God.